Good day and welcome. My name is Reggie on 76, and today it is summertime. There's no better way to put this. It is summertime, unless you're a loser or a nerd that is still in school for the next 2 to 3 days. Then it is summertime. But what we can all agree on is that we have just went through the worst week of our lives, that being transition week. Whether you're in secondary school and you've got the new year sevens, which are absolute menaces to society, or you're in primary school and you got the new reception kids who are really quiet now. Back in my day, the roles used to be reversed. The reception kids would be really quiet, and the year sevens would be really quiet, and the reception kids would be menaces to society. But no, that's changed now. It's different now. They're really quiet, the reception kids. But the year sevens, though, oh, the ones in my school, they have done terrible things. So I'm here to monetize it and tell you all about it on this platform of an ant's nest we know as YouTube. So, let's get into it with the first story, which has caused the school a lot of property damage. Alright, so for context, there is a group of year 10s. I reckon year 10s now. Not good people is the best way to put it. Not good people, yeah. No, they're not criminals to say. It's like they haven't done anything illegal, but it's like they're like the school bullies, but they've not been caught doing it, or they're somehow getting away with it. I'm not sure how to put it. They're somehow getting away with it. So and yeah, these year tens, all have little children, all in the year 7 group that has just joined the school. So that all happens, and this year 7 group, they think they rule the world. First day in, they go picking fights with other year 7s, picking fights with other year 8s, year 9s, anybody they find, they'll pick fights with, defiling the school, and all that. And then they'll also skip class. Bearing in mind, it's transition week, so it's the easiest week to skip class, as class isn't actually in a lesson, or in like a specific room, it's around the school. Because your class is literally just, finding your way around the school, doing a treasure hunt. I wish that was my class. But anyway, so they would skip class. They would just wander. They would like find a place where nobody would be, like in the old G block or whatever, and just hang out there. But this one time, they decided to skip class, not realizing that the class was actually in a specific lesson this time. But the teacher still didn't figure it out. Like the way they had done this was they had went and did registration, and all one by one asked to go to the toilet. And I don't get how the teachers didn't figure this out, that like 6 children from their class were just missing. So these children were missing, and what they decided to do every time that like every lunchtime a teacher would find graffiti. So they'd have like for the last day of transition week. That's when this happened. Last day of transition week, they had 7 to 8 teachers just posted around the school, stationary, looking out for any kids who weren't meant to be where they were meant to be, in case they were gonna to try and look for whoever was spraying the graffiti. And these children, they had enough. Alright, they'd had enough of the school. They'd had enough of just like everybody thinking, you're little year 7s, you'll grow out of it, you're fine, you're fine. So what they decide to do, they decide, instead of like just giving up, let's go big. Go big or go home, as they say. And what's big? So we have this balcony where the canteen is. We have this balcony going above it, because our school has floors. There's 3 floors, first, second, and third, and we just have this circle balcony around it. And on the first floor, the balcony's bigger. You can't see it from down below, but from up top, the balcony's bigger on the first floor. Big enough to have still a corridor, but also some chairs and a desk to make some sort of reading space. So what did they decide to do? Where all these desks were propped up below where children would eat, they would grab the 4 armchairs. Like, these weren't folding in chairs or plastic chairs. These were proper armchairs, like dad armchairs, and then this desk, which is a proper, like, this is like some dining room table. They grab these, graffiti them with spray paint. Well, not even spray paint, I don't think. I think this was like some bucket of paint, because they just dumped whatever they had onto the chairs and table, and then just chucked it over the balcony. Bearing in mind these are some heavy things, so these break the tables below, get paint everywhere, and then what do they decide to do? They go into the special kids' toilets, and obviously, like, it's special kids, they don't really know how to flush yet. It's all good, it's all fine. They go into the access toilet, grab just a clump of feces out of it. They just scoop feces out of it and then chuck it onto where the children eat. But these feces, they splatter everywhere, so they don't just get on the table. Because the bar where they cook all the food was nearby, this got all over all the lunch food, all the dinner food. So children couldn't even eat there. There was a limited supply of food to children who didn't have, like, packed lunches that day or water bottles that day. Only in G Block. And somehow managed to ruin the food supply. Bearing in mind, they did get caught because they were the only ones missing out of lesson. But that must have caused a lot of property damage. I wouldn't know. We weren't, luckily enough, it was on the last day of transition, so nobody else was there to see, like, what happened. But they were crazy. Worst part is, when they got caught, they denied it. It's like, there was only one other person out of lesson at the time that it could have been. And, what was it? It was seen on the CCTV cameras. Bearing in mind the school had CCTV cameras, even though most of them didn't work. It was seen on the CCTV cameras that this person had went in the direction of the toilets, which is where it was said that they were going, and was speaking to a teacher on the way. And so he had a witness, but they still denied it. And then they all tried to put the blame on him. And then, wasn't it, the brothers get involved, or the older siblings of this year 10 group. Well, no, the year 10 group, so the older siblings of the year 7 group, decide to get involved. And then they jump the teachers. The teachers had to call the police, and it took like 6 police officers to hold down one guy. These year 10s and year 7s all decided to jump 3 teachers because they didn't want to get in trouble for what they... Like I said, these year 7s are menaces to society. They are wilding. Absolute menaces. Anyways, you got the big menaces like that, but then you got the small menaces, like this kid. Alright, so I personally know this year 7. Well, not personally, but I know this year 7. He happened to go to my primary school. We happened to get in a fight at that primary school, and I kicked him in the balls. There's no easy way to go around it. I kicked him in the balls. Maybe that's what caused him to be so weird over the years, but yeah, I may have caused this. What's his name? This year 7. Let's give him the name. We'll name him Bolin. He caused a lot of trouble around the school. Nothing he can get in trouble in, but just like, he had an attitude. He was known for having a very big attitude. He was too big for his boots, and that was it, really. He just... Nobody liked him. He had no friends, but he would always, like, push kids out of their seat at lunch to, like, sit at their table. And when you're... The thing about transition week, when you're a year 6 in transition week, you can't really get punished. I mean, they can't put you in detention. They're physically not allowed to do that. ISO? No, definitely not. They could, like, stop you from going to school next year, but they still can't stop you from going to that school during the transition week. So for that week, you are invulnerable to most punishments. So, and Bolin, he obviously knew this. So he just did whatever he wanted, and his reasoning was, he can do anything he wants, because he's just a child. So, and then he recognises me. I had seen him a bunch around school, but I just decided to avoid him. But Then it's English class. Now, my English room had moved. Usually it's in a corner, and I'm in like, because our school is basically just a square with a square on top and then a smaller square on top. Now my English classroom is on the third floor, and it's literally the classroom is in a corner, so it has no windows you can see into it apart from the door, and I'm right at the back, so you can't see me through the door. I am very concealed. But then my English classroom just happened to be moved during transition week. And where was I moved to? Second floor, front classroom, massive windows, everybody can see what's happening, and I'm right at the front. So I'm already dreading this, because I'm right at the front, next to the teacher's desk, during a substitute English lesson with this terrible substitute I don't like. And then, we'll call him Mr. Quacks, because, yeah, he quacks a lot. And he's always on Twitter. So, I'm doing my work. I'm on Twitter, and I see Bolin out through like the window, and he must have been there for a solid like 5 minutes, because he's just staring. He's straight up staring daggers at me. Now I don't know. I then remember who this child is, who he is, and we stare at each other for a solid like 3 minutes. Then the teacher's like, "Hey, what are you doing? Can you not? Can you not?" He like tells me, and then when I tell him like he's been staring at me for the next 5 minutes, he tells me off for just like looking at him. We should make them feel welcome. That was always our school standpoint. Right, no matter what the situation is, no matter who's in the wrong or who's in the right, the youngest always is in the right. It doesn't matter who's actually in it. It's always the youngest. We should always make the year sixes feel welcome, no matter what they do. You could be kicked in the balls, then the year sixes would cry because you weren't welcoming enough when they kicked you in the balls. It is really just annoying. So I get told off. Then he goes and shuts the blind on the kid. So what does the kid do? Considering he figures out I'm right at the front of the class. They'll be able to see me through the glass door that we have. So then he lays on the ground, bearing in mind a bunch of children are running around. So he halts the flow of the stairwell, which is right in front of our classroom, and then he starts rolling around on the floor. Bear in mind, this isn't just your usual, like, temper tantrum baby rolling around. He full on does just flips and somersaults on the floor, and then starts screaming like a child when he does, like, not a child, like a serial maniac when he does it. So finally the teacher has enough, and he's like, "You, what are you doing? Can you come here?" Now, Bolin, what does he do? He's like, this teacher has just told me to come here, and to get up and come to him. What am I gonna do? I'm gonna say no and spit in his face. That's what he does. And the teacher, still keeping his cool, somehow, I've never seen him do this, again asks for Bolin to go to him. And what does he do? He spits in his face again. So the teacher goes to Bolin and like tries to gently usher him on. So the point where Bolin punches him in the balls. He punched this teacher in the balls. So then another teacher comes along who is monitoring the cameras and had seen quite a bit of it. Comes along, sees this teacher on the ground, and then like whimpering, and then sees this child crying, trying to victim blame it. He asks the other year sevens, bearing in mind there's like 80 year sevens and a classroom full of just other children. Nah, because like all the classrooms could see this. Like 5 classrooms full of children had seen this, and he still tries to victim blame, saying that the teacher shoved him, so he self-defensively like punched him in the balls. Bear in mind, this isn't like the teacher barely touched him. It was just a gentle usher towards his classroom. So then the year 7 start revealing the truth. The kid starts cussing them out, screaming, swearing, and shouting at all of the year 7s. And then when the teacher tries to this one tries to gently usher him out the way, he bites them. He full on bites this teacher. So, wasn't it? Another teacher comes, bearing in mind this teacher, he's very strict. probably like he has high. It's not like he's strict. He just has high expectations. That's cool. You can still have fun. You can still have a laugh with him. It's just he has high expectations, and when you've done something wrong, he will let you know you've done something wrong. So you can just this guy walks up and Bolin. He can just tell from the presence. This guy don't mess around. This guy really doesn't mess around. He shuts all the blinds and of all the doors, and then calls another substitute in to take care of us. Well, our substitute for our teacher is being taken away because he's just been kicked in the balls or punched in the balls, I should say. And then we hear from outside because our window's still open, so we hear, "What is your house?" No, what is your house? What is your house? The kid takes his planner out, and then he's like, "Okay, give me your planner." And then the kid points to his house, and what we figure out from that, and from like the people peering out of the blinds next door, is that the kid was purposely trying to mislead this teacher about who he was. Turns out this child had snuck into the school. I think like the way he had managed to do this is he must have had a brother who was in the school. What's it? I don't get how he must have had a brother who was in the school, because he had a hand-me-down year 7 transition week planner from his brother, and for like identification to come in, and then he managed to, because they give out free ones every single day. He just from there got 3 transition week planners, and the school must have always assumed it was one short, because teachers were always complaining how they didn't have enough transition week planners for the children. They had to photocopy a bunch more. That was why his child had managed to sneak in. He had also probably managed to do it with his hand-me-down kit, so no one could identify him. We just had this random child in the school who couldn't be identified. It was mad. Anyways, that's where I'm going to end off the video today. Please, if you enjoyed, subscribe and follow me on Twitch if you like the gameplay. I stream every Saturday, and I'm going to be streaming more regularly now that it is the summer holidays. So please, if you like what you see, go check it out. Also, please like the video if you like the year 7 stories. I got many more. I've also got more stories to tell about my very strange, very weird life. So please, if you like to see more, tell me in the comments, and please like and subscribe. It is free, and I would really appreciate it. So please. Anyways, that's where I'm going to leave off the video today, and I'll see you all later. Bye.